Hello, this is a walkthrough of the Dryfta event platform. Dryfta is the all-in-one event management platform to manage university events from one dashboard. You can use it to collect abstracts and reviews, sell tickets online, create event schedules, and host virtual and hybrid sessions. You can also boost attendee engagement with private messaging, video calls, and points leaderboard. So we'll begin with the event ticketing platform first. This is the event ticketing module where you go to ticket setup first to set up the tickets, create all the ticket types that you need. You can create tickets for workshops. You can create general registration ticket types, so people can purchase these tickets to become an attendee in your conference. You can also create sponsorship packages, so you can sell your sponsorship packages to your sponsors. So there is a standalone page for sponsors to go to that page and then purchase the package that they want to sponsor in your conference. And there's a dedicated page for donations. So if you're a nonprofit, you can collect donations through this page. So and you can also charge a fee for submissions, whether they are you can choose to charge a fee for accepted submissions only or for all the submissions. So there is a ticket type that you can create for that particular submission type. And then you go to payment setup to create, choose the payment methods that you want to enable. You can collect payments via credit card, PayPal, and also offline payment methods, including check and demand draft and pay at the winning options, and also purchase orders. For payment gateway, we have Stripe, BlueSnap, Authorize.net, Square, to checkout, and Molly, which is an European payment gateway for European customers. Once the payment setup is completed, you can go to question setup to create the questions. By default, it would have some preset questions like first name, last name, and email address. You can choose to create your own custom questions and file upload fields if you want people to upload their photos or their some kind of signed documents along with their purchase. So they can do that if you create the file upload field. So you just have to click on file upload and then select, name the field, and select the file format which would be allowed, and then make it mandatory if you want. And similarly, you can create a multiple choice question. You just have to create the additional choices, and then you're good to go. Once that is done, you can go to discount codes. So if you want to have some discounted tickets, then you can create these discount codes and distribute them to your attendees so they can purchase the tickets on a discount. Once that is all done, you can click on view website to see how it looks like on the front end. So if you go to the get tickets page, it would display all the tickets that you have created, and they would then select the quantity and fill in the form, fill in the details, and then they'll click on checkout to complete the payment by paying via credit card or any of the other payment methods which has been enabled. Now we'll move on to the submissions and reviews platform. This is the platform that you would use to collect submissions and assign them to the reviewers. So the first thing you would do is go to submission settings, and there you can set the start date and end date for the submissions. You can set a limit on the total number of submissions that you plan to take in for your conference. You can set a limit on how many submissions that is allowed to each author. You can also allow authors to withdraw their submissions from their dashboard which is also part of the GDPR compliance. So if you are an European customer, you have to enable it. So you can allow them to delete their information on their own. You can also set a limit on how many courses can be added in a single submission. And in terms of review submission settings, you can set the last date for submitting the reviews. If your review is going to be split into multiple rounds, you can enable multi-review stages. So and then you have to create those stages. So so they would be then the review would then be split into those stages: stage 1 and stage 2 and stage 3. And within each stage, there would be some abstracts which would be assigned to the reviewers of that particular stage, and they would review those abstracts. And then once those abstracts are reviewed, they would be taken to the next stage with the click of a button, and then they would be assigned to the next set of reviewers who would then review it. And finally, the chair committee can then decide whether they want to accept or reject those reviewed abstracts. You can also enable double blind review, which basically means you can hide authors' details from reviewers when they are reviewing the abstracts. Apart from the abstracts, people can also submit panels. So you can choose to allow reviewers to submit review for each abstract within a panel, or just the single, just one review for each panel. So if you do, so you have these options here. We also have automated assignment settings, where you can set a limit on how many abstracts can be assigned to each reviewer and how many reviewers can be assigned to each abstract. Once you have set these limits, whenever there is a new abstract comes into the system, they would be assigned to the right reviewer automatically based on these criteria that you have set. You can also choose to assign submissions based on random assignment or the matched topics. So the topic of the abstract and the expertise of the reviewer, they both are matched, only then the system would assign that abstract to that reviewer. And we have bidding options as well, where you can let the reviewers bid on abstracts. Otherwise, you can disable it. So the bidding basically means reviewers can set the expertise on the for these abstracts, and if they have the low expertise, or if there is a conflict of interest, they can simply mark it as conflicted, and those abstracts would then not be assigned to that reviewer. There's also rebuttal settings, where the reviewers can send rebuttal to the authors, and authors can reply to those rebuttals from their dashboard. Again, this is all optional, and you can choose to disable them if you want. And we have open review settings, where you can set the you can let the reviewers review abstracts in the open. So every reviewer of that abstract can see the reviews submitted by other reviewers of that abstract. So this is again something which is very special and not something which all conferences use. So you can disable them if you want. So once the settings are configured, you can now go to types to create the submission types, like oral submission or poster submissions, panel submissions, symposia, all those different submission types that you may have. So you have to click on add new submission type, or you can and then you would name the type and set the start date and end date for each submission type. So by having a start date and end date, you can define the deadline for different deadlines for each submission type. You can also set a limit on how many submissions is allowed to each author for that particular submission type. And if this submission type is going to be a panel submission type, then you can enable panel submission and set a limit on how many submissions can be added in a single panel submission. How many abstracts can be added in a single panel submission. And then you go to topics to create the topics. This topic would be displayed to the authors, so they can choose the topic in which they want to submit the abstract. And these topics would also be displayed to the reviewers when they are creating their profiles, or when their profiles are being created from the backend from an admin. So they can choose the topics in which one of these topics in which they have the expertise, or multiple topics if they have expertise in multiple topics. And then you go to submission questions to create the questions for your submission form. Again, you have all these different field types that you can use to create different submission, different field types, different questions. File upload fields, multi-select drop-down, yes, no question, multiple choice question, input box, or you can just have a text box like here, or multiple input box like this one here. And when you are creating the text box, you can set a word limit on how many words would be allowed in that field, or how many characters would be allowed in that field. And you can also create different set of questions for different submission type or topics or stages. So you just have to select that particular type if this field is going to be displayed in that particular type only. If you want it to be displayed to all submission types, then you can select all. And similarly, you can select the stages under which this field would be displayed. Yeah. And then you would go to the review questions to create the questions for the reviewers. And then similarly, you can create all the questions just like you have created in the submission questions. And finally, you click on, you go to the website and apps, website designer tool, to enable the link to the menu so they can go to that page and start submitting the abstract. Dashboard menu is where they can see my abstract. So these are all menus. Now, if you click on preview website, it would take you to the front to the website where you can see if you are logged in, you would see my abstracts. This is where you can see all the abstracts that users have already submitted. And if the author wants to click create a new submission, they can click on new submission, and then they can select the type, they can select the topic, and they would fill in the title and summary and all the other fields, and then add the co-authors, and then finally submit the abstract. Once the abstracts are submitted, the author would receive a confirmation email, and the co-authors would also receive a confirmation email along with the login credentials for the account which has been created for them. So they can use those credentials to log into their dashboard and see the abstract submitted by the primary author or the submitter who have submitted on their behalf. So once these abstracts are submitted, you can access them in the backend from under Manage Submissions. This is where you can see the abstracts which have been submitted, and you can now choose to assign them to the reviewers. So you click on, you select the abstract and click on Assign Reviewers. Select the reviewers to whom you want to assign these abstracts, and the ones which have already been assigned the maximum number of abstracts that you have set in the limit in the settings, they cannot be assigned additional abstracts. So that's why these messages are being displayed. So when you click on Assign, all of these reviewers would then receive an automated email notification with the link to which they can click on to submit their reviews. And if when they go to the website by clicking on the link, and they would need to log in And once they are logged in, they would go to assigned abstracts tab. And there they can see the list of abstracts assigned to them. And they can click on the submit review button. And on the left side, it would display the submission info. On the right side, it would display this review submission form, which they would use to rate the abstract. And click on submit review to submit the review. And once the reviews have been assigned, they can you can see the ratings they have they have given for these abstracts. And by clicking on the reviews tab, you can see the ratings. This is the average rating given by this reviewer first, and then this is the rating. This is another review has given 10 out of 10. So this is the cumulative sum of the individual ratings given by the reviewers for this abstract. So so the chair committee would decide whether to accept or reject these abstracts based on this score. And whenever they want to decide, they simply have to click on status, change the status to accepted, and then and they would then the authors would then be notified about the acceptance or the rejection if it has been rejected. If you do not want to go to each abstract one by one and change the status, you can select the abstract from the list, click on bulk update, and then click on accept to accept them, or reject if you want to reject them. So this is how the whole submission process would work. There is abstract book builder to generate the abstract book. You have a customizer tool here, which you can use to customize the look and feel of the abstract book. Similarly, there is an acceptance letter builder, which you can use to send acceptance letters to all the accepted authors. You can also import submissions into the system if you have collected it from somewhere else, or you can use it to update the existing submissions. So if you have 1,000 or 2,000 abstracts and you do not want to go one by one, then you can use the import tool to download the existing abstracts, change the status for these abstracts from the spreadsheet, and then re-import the spreadsheet into the system. So the system can update the status for all those abstracts all at once. And then you can go to event schedule, where you can access the program builder to create all the sessions. And once you have added the sessions, you can then go to each session and then add the accepted submissions into that session. So you just have to select the submissions that you want to add into that session, and then they would be automatically added to the session. And it would also add the additional speakers, the speakers of the presenters of those abstracts into the session. You can use the scheduler to schedule the sessions. You can drag drop speakers into their respective sessions. You can drag moderators. You can move abstracts into the sessions. And you can also, if you go to a specific session, you can change their description. You can set the start and end date for the session. You can enable a virtual meeting option for that session. So those who are attending it virtually can join the session live with their camera and microphone on, and they can present their session, or they can use the live Q&A to talk to the speaker who is attending it physically. So so if you want it to be a hybrid event, then you can have some people who have attended it in person, and then some people who are attending it virtually. They both can join together through their respective channels. And this is where you can add the moderators. This is this section where you can add the speakers. And if you have slides uploaded by the speakers, it would display them here, and you can select the ones that you want to display for download by the attendees. You can also enable live chat and live Q&A for the virtual attendees, and live polls as well. And if this workshop is a paid workshop, paid session, then you can select the ticket that you want to associate with it. So one has to purchase this ticket type before they can check into this session. You can also enable a survey feedback form for this session, or you can also choose to enable feedback form for each presentation in that session. And if you are assigning some C credits for attending the session, you can enter the C credits, and whenever someone checks in, these many C credits would be assigned to their profile. So this is how you can edit this a session and make changes to it. And this is an email broadcast tool, which you can use to customize automated notifications being sent out from the system. You can also use it to send campaigns. You can create segments, targeted groups to whom you want to send campaigns. So you have to go to segments for that. You can access campaign reports to get an idea of how many people have received this email and how many of them have clicked on it or unsubscribed from it. And then we have the certificate builder, which you can use to generate the participation certificates for the attendees. So you can choose to print them all and then distribute them physically, or you can send the certificates to all of them to the email by clicking on this send certificate button. So you do not have to do it one by one for all of them. You can simply send it, click on this button, then it would generate the certificates for all of them and send the certificates to their email address. And in the settings, you can enable custom domain for your event website. If you do not want to use Dryfta.com in the URL, you can also use your own sender email address. If you do not want to use Dryfta.com in the from email address, you can choose to have your own email address in the from email address. So yeah, this is all we have in this demo. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us through our website. Thank you.